Before the sun had thought of rising, Eli and Nia climbed the pale grass hillside. The fog lay thick enough to hold their steps. It smelled faintly of wool and cool earth. Each footfall sank a little, then found purchase, as if the hillside had been waiting for them. At the crest, the temporary railway platform had formed again. Soft lanterns glowed on the tips of the grass, their light the color of warm milk. The boards felt steady underfoot, pale and quiet. Beyond the edge, the fog stretched outward like a sleeping valley. Eli set down his satchel. Nia did the same. They opened the usual crates that always waited there, lids lifting with a soft sigh of hinges. Inside, Mittens lay roughly sorted by the kind of warmth each still remembered holding. Some smelled of wood smoke. Some held the hush of snowy mornings. Some carried the faint sweetness of pocket bread. Eli began the familiar work. He lifted one mitten, turned it slowly in his hands, and searched for the nap that matched it. Nia worked beside him, her movements careful and small. When a pair felt right, she set them gently together on the planks. The wool whispered against wool. From far off, a distant train whistle sounded, thin as breath. It never quite arrived. The note drifted through the fog and faded into the pale grass, leaving the platform quieter than before. Eli matched a soft grey mitten to its twin. He set them down. When he looked again, the grey one had slipped free and drifted toward a mitten the color of old cream. They had never shared a pair. He frowned the gentlest of frowns and moved them apart once more. Nia noticed too. She took her quiet pencil and began to sketch the paths the fog made around the lanterns. Thin lines curved across her paper, soft as breath on glass. She did not speak. She only watched the mittens with steady eyes. Another pair loosened. A mitten that remembered kitchen warmth leaned toward one that held the cool of early walks. Eli tried again, matching nap to nap the way he always had. The wool felt kind under his fingers. Still, the pairs would not stay as he left them. Overnight, it seemed, they had learned new neighbors. The lantern light rested on their hands. The grass tips barely stirred. Eli and Nia paused with wool-warm fingers and one unanswered question resting lightly between them: why the mittens kept rearranging overnight into pairs that never belonged together. Eli let his hands rest open on his knees. He did not move the mittens apart again. Nia kept her pencil still for a long while, only listening to the soft hush of wool settling against wool. The fog held its pale quiet around the lanterns. A distant train whistle sounded once, thin and unfinished, as if it had thought better of arriving and drifted away instead. They stayed that way through the long quiet hours. Curiosity kept them watching rather than sorting. One cream mitten edged forward a finger's width. Its nap brushed the cuff of a grey one that remembered the cool of early walks. Neither sibling reached to stop them. The wool made a tiny whisper, like dry grass under a soft shoe. Then a mitten that held kitchen warmth slid into place beside them, and the three lay end to end in a short, gentle line. Eli leaned closer. The lantern light caught the raised nap of each mitten and joined those tiny fibers into continuous threads that shone like pale paths across the crate tops. He breathed out slowly. The air smelled faintly of damp wool and cold grass. Nia's pencil moved again. Her thin lines on the paper began to curve the same way the mittens curved, soft as breath on glass, matching shapes she had not drawn on purpose. More mittens joined. Short lines lengthened. A blue mitten that remembered mitten box dust found its place at the end of one row. Another that still held the warmth of a coat pocket settled beside it. The pears were no longer pears at all. They had become roots of soft nap, each fiber catching light and passing it along to the next. Eli traced one glowing thread with his eyes all the way to the platform's edge and felt the quiet wonder of it settle in his chest. Nia held her sketch beside the crates so the lantern glow fell evenly on both. The fog paths she had drawn and the mitten lines now shared the same gentle bends, the same patient turns. They realized together, without speaking at first, that the lines were tracing winter paths across a landscape no one could see yet. Somewhere beyond the fog a hillside folded into a valley, and the Mittens were remembering the way home for someone who had borrowed warmth and not yet returned it. The whole platform seemed to lean, almost politely, toward a distant valley of softer light. The pale grass tips tipped that way. The lanterns swayed a finger's width on their hooks. Eli felt the boards shift under his boots with the smallest courtesy, as if the place itself wished them to notice. They rose only long enough to sit side by side on a crate edge. Their shoulders touched. The new shape of the work lay clear enough to wonder at, the soft lines stretching farther each slow minute. In one corner of the platform a stubborn crate remained unmoving, its lid still closed, holding whatever waited inside while the rest of the Mittens kept drawing their quiet map. They sat a while longer on the crate edge, shoulders still touching, while the soft lines stretched farther across the boards. Then Eli rose and held out his hand. Nia took it and stood, her pencil resting quiet between her fingers. Together they left the familiar sorting place and walked the length of the platform toward the leaning end. Cool fog brushed their cheeks. Pale grass tips stroked their ankles beneath the lantern glow. The boards underfoot tilted with a polite patience, so each step carried them a little farther than they planned. Lantern light lay in soft coins along the wood. The air smelled faintly of damp wool and grass that had never quite dried. The mitten lines had grown long enough to pour. They spilled gently off the far edge of the boards and reached toward the valley light, wool nap catching gold in continuous threads that thinned into fog. Nia stopped and sketched the pour, her pencil tracing quiet curves that matched the falling paths. Eli lifted his hands to steady the lanterns that tipped with the platform's slow courtesy. Their hooks made the smallest wooden sigh against the posts. Somewhere far off a train whistle sounded once, thin and distant, yet it never quite arrived. The note folded into the fog and left only the hush of wool and the soft lean of grass. Their work changed without anyone speaking of it. Eli slid the empty crates aside so no corner would catch a flowing line. Nia guided a few loose mittens back into the stream with the back of her hand, never forcing, only inviting. They were no longer matching nap to nap. They were simply making room for a map they could not yet fully see. The platform leaned a fraction more. Boards creaked like a settled breath. The valley light remained steady beyond the pale curtain of fog, a softer glow that seemed to wait without hurry. Eli and Nia moved the last few crates into a neat stack near the sealed one, widening the open space until the lines could pour without obstacle. Cool air touched the insides of their wrists. Lantern light warmed the backs of their hands. When the boards felt clear enough, they sat again in the widened place, side by side on a low crate that no longer blocked anything. Their shoulders met once more. The distant valley light held quiet and unmoving. In the far corner the stubborn crate stayed sealed against every invitation, its lid closed and still, while the mitten lines kept drawing their long soft paths toward whatever home waited beyond the fog. After a while Eli rose from the low crate and walked the few quiet steps to the sealed one in the corner. He set his palms on the lid and waited until the wood felt ready under his hands. Then he lifted it with the same care he used for every other morning's work. Inside, the mittens lay in a soft heap that would not settle. He tried one pairing, then another, matching nap to nap the way he always had. Each mitten slipped free again and rested a little apart from its neighbor, as if listening for something else. Cool wool brushed his fingertips. The air above the open crate smelled faintly of frost and stored rain. A thin thread began to unspool from the deepest fold of wool. It shone pale blue-white, finer than yarn, and drifted outward on the still air. It crossed the boards without catching and floated beyond the platform edge into the thicker fog. Nia came to stand beside him. She watched the thread a long moment, then touched it with one careful finger. It held. It felt cool and steady, like a path drawn of breath and ice that somehow remembered weight. She glanced at Eli. He nodded once. Together they stepped off the boards onto the pale grass tips that still supported them. The frost thread led gently downward and away. Lantern light fell behind them, growing softer with every quiet step. The fog thickened around their ankles, then thinned again so that distant shapes of hill and hollow showed through for a breath before closing once more. Here and there they found stray mittens that had wandered into the grass. Some rested open on the pale blades. Others hung lightly from bent stems. Eli and Nia gathered them into their pockets and into the crooks of their arms, feeling the leftover warmth still held in each one. A distant train whistle sounded once across the fog, soft and unfinished, as though it had meant to arrive and then thought better of the journey. The sound faded without ever growing nearer. The siblings kept walking. The frost thread glowed faintly ahead of them, never tugging, only inviting. They climbed a soft rise where the fog felt firmer underfoot, almost like packed snow that made no sound. Their pockets bulged with gathered strays. Their arms cradled more. Ahead the frost thread still drifted onward toward something large and warm they could not yet name, a presence felt more than seen, waiting patiently beyond the next pale fold of fog. The frost thread led them over the soft rise and down again into a hollow where the fog lay still and deep. Ahead the pale line brightened and spread, widening until it was no longer a single thread but many threads joining, then many more. Eli slowed. Nia's pencil rested forgotten against her palm. Before them the ground itself had become a vast cloth of wool and quiet light. Every line of mittens that had poured from the platform now lay completed here, stitched edge to edge into one enormous soft map. Paths crossed and curved and settled. Some ran like narrow winter lanes between remembered fences. Others opened into broad routes that seemed to hold the shape of whole valleys. Where each mitten rested it glowed with a small, steady recognition, as if it had found the exact place it had always meant to reach. Eli stepped closer and felt the warmth rise gently against his ankles. Nia knelt and touched one finished path with two careful fingers. The nap was smooth and certain. All around them the map breathed the faintest scent of wool and cold air and far-off hearths. They began to empty their pockets and the crooks of their arms. One by one they laid the gathered strays into the empty places that waited. A red mitten settled into a curve that looked like a hillside road. A pair of grey ones filled a gap beside a long blue root. Each time the wool gave a small settled sigh, soft as breath, and the glow evened. The map accepted them without hurry. Eli watched the last stray find its home and understood, slowly, what the morning had been asking of them. The mittens had never been lost. They had only been finishing journeys. Each one carried a borrowed scrap of warmth back to the path it once belonged to, so that somewhere a stranger might feel the way home without knowing quite how. The pairs that had drifted toward unfamiliar partners were simply completing larger kindnesses. Nia's fog sketches had been tracing the same quiet truth all along. The distant valley light they had followed was only this map's own gentle shine reflected upward through the fog. It had never been a separate place. It had been waiting here, patient and complete. A distant train whistle sounded once more across the hollow, soft and unfinished, as though it had meant to arrive and then thought better of the journey. The sound faded without ever growing nearer. The siblings did not need it now. They stood at the edge of the completed warm map in restful silence. The work was almost done. Sleep was beginning to feel near, quiet as the pale grass under their feet and the soft glow that held every path in place. Eli knelt beside the last open stretch of the map and guided two small mittens into the empty curves that waited for them. The wool settled with a hush, nap to nap, and the whole shape gave one long, even glow that warmed the fog without brightening it. Nia placed a final stray glove into a narrow path near the edge. Nothing remained unmatched. Nothing stirred out of place. They stayed a little longer, hands resting lightly on the soft surface, feeling the quiet recognition move through every thread. The glow held steady, then began to thin the way breath thins on cool glass. Pre-dawn fog softened around them, turning ordinary, less thick to walk upon. Pale light seeped in from far away, gentle and grey. The hillside platform answered with a slow sigh. Boards loosened under their shoes and faded into the pale grass that had always been waiting beneath. Lanterns dimmed one by one until only the cool air kept their shapes for a moment longer, then let them go. Grass tips brushed ankles again. The map itself grew lighter still, paths dissolving into the thinning fog until the enormous kindness was simply part of the morning. A distant train whistle sounded one last far courtesy across the hollow. It never quite arrived. The note drifted unfinished and faded without coming nearer, as soft as the last lantern light leaving the grass. Eli and Nia turned and began the walk down the hill. Their pockets held small leftovers of warmth, scraps the map no longer needed. The warmth brushed their fingers like remembered wool, quiet and steady. They said little. Cool air moved against their cheeks. The path felt familiar underfoot, ordinary earth returning. Fog lifted in slow layers. Birds had not yet begun. The whole morning folded gently behind them like a finished page, edges soft, nothing left open. At the bottom of the hill the houses waited with their usual roofs and doors. Home smelled faintly of wood and sleep. They stepped inside without hurry. Eli closed the door. Nia set her pencil on the table. Their pockets kept the leftover warmth a while longer, then let it ease into the still air of the room. Breath slowed. The pale grass and the soft map and the unfinished whistle rested far behind them now, complete and kind. Stillness settled over the quiet house the way fog once settled over the hill. Home held them in breath and stillness, and the story rested so sleep could come as gently as fog leaving a hill.